श्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी के गठ की ओर से की गई है। हमने उस पे भी ध्यान दिया है और आने वाले दिनों में जैसा मैंने कहा, जैसे जैसे गठों की ओर से प्रस्ताव आएंगे, उस प्रस्ताव के बाद फिर कोर टीम बैठकर उचित निर्णय करेगी। अभी जो परिस्थिति है उसके बारे में आकलन किया गया है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी वेट एंड वॉच के भूमिका में आज भी है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट के निर्णय के बारे में इस विषय का चिंतन किया गया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो कहा है उसके आधार पे आने वाले दिनों में जो और प्रस्ताव आगे आएंगे, उस प्रस्ताव के बाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपने कोर टीम के माध्यम से उचित निर्णय करेगी। भारतीय जनता पार्टीच्या कोर बैठकीमध्ये आज असा कोणताही सरकार स्थापनेच्या प्रस्तावाबाबत चर्चा झाली नाही। आज असणारी राज्यातली अस्थिर परिस्थिती, शिवसेनेमध्ये असणारी फूट, राज्याच्या मुख्यमंत्र्यांनी काँग्रेस राष्ट्रवादीचा पाठिंबा घेतल्यानंतर सुद्धा त्यांच्या पक्षाच्या
Sudhir Mungantiwar, former forest minister in the Maharashtra government, speaking on behalf of the BJP, saying that we will follow the court proposals and we will wait and watch. The Supreme Court earlier today issued notices to Maharashtra Deputy Speaker Narhari Zirwal, Chief Whip Sunil Prabhu, Leader of Legislature Party Anil Chaudhary and the Centre today, as the tussle for the control of Shiv Sena has now reached the top court. Acting on Eknath Shinde's petition challenging the disqualification notices issued to him and 15 other rebel MLAs last week, the Supreme Court also extended the deadline given to the rebel MLAs to file their responses to the disqualification notices till the 12th of July. Now, in a relief to the rebel camp, the Supreme Court kept the disqualification proceedings in abeyance before the Deputy Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly till the 11th of July and sought responses to the pleas made by rebel MLAs questioning the legality of notices seeking their disqualification. So the top court has intervened in this matter. It has also asked the Deputy Speaker to file an affidavit and put on record the no trust notice served upon him by the rebel MLAs. During the hearing, the Sena rebels contended that the Deputy Speaker is not competent to decide on the issue of disqualification if there is already a notice pending on his own removal. So the matter now, viewers, hinges on who holds the constitutional right and who doesn't. And can the rebel group, simply by the virtue of having the larger numbers, automatically acquire the legitimacy of the party and of the positions accorded to different posts? These are issues that have to be settled in court, since the rebel camp has taken the matters to court with as many as 3 pleas, one challenging the position of the Deputy Speaker, the other challenging the appointment of the Chief Whip, and the third, of course, challenging the disqualification notices. So let's welcome here on the program, joining us today, 2 eminent Supreme Court lawyers, Namit Saxena and also Manasvi Thapar. Very good evening to the 2 of you. Thanks for joining us on the program. I'll first get in a word from my colleagues, the reporters on ground, so that we can be fully updated with what's happening. Joining us on the program is Ketan Vaidya and Abhishek from Guwahati. Ketan is reporting from Mumbai. Abhishek, to you first. So the rebel camp, of course, we saw those pictures of celebrations, etc. But the fact of the matter is the disqualification has been put on hold. It does not mean in any way that the rebels have been given an upper hand. What is the big takeaway for the rebels in this? How are they planning to take the fight forward from here on, Abhishek?
Yes, definitely, it's a breather for them, and even Eknath Shinde tweeted claiming that it is a victory of Uddhav Thackeray's Hindutva and thoughts of Anand Dige. And definitely, as we broke the news from our sources, they are satisfied with the decisions that have been made by the Supreme Court. And also, they are, the issuing of notices to the opponent party is something they always wanted for. And most importantly, that their MLAs will not be disqualified immediately, and there is an interim time for filing a reply, is a big decision in their favor. That's what they wanted. They wanted an interim stay. And definitely, they are planning and strategizing how to go back to Mumbai now. Because for sure, till 11th of July, these MLAs will not be camping here. So a strategy meeting is going on along with Eknath Shinde. And remember, a corresponding meeting has just concluded in Mumbai of the core group of BJP. So definitely there is an interconnection to it. And the way out, you know, what we say, the exit plan from Guwahati to Mumbai for all these MLA. And remember, Supreme Court clearly said that to the state government of Maharashtra, you are liable to provide security to the MLAs as well as to the families. So definitely, the MLAs are assured of the security, and a plan is chalked out for the exit from Guwahati. Back to you.
Okay, so can there be that kind of passage for the rebel MLAs? Let's go across to Ketan Vaidya as well. Ketan, lot of hectic parleys happening across camps. What are the big takeaways after the very first hearing in the top court? How are the Uddhav Sena, the primary party, so to speak, reacting to all of this?
Well, on a lighter vein, Afrida, my colleague, Abhishek is itching to come back to Mumbai, and so he says that the MLAs will be back so soon. But from what Uddhav Sena or the parent boss Shiv Sena is saying, it doesn't seem that easy. So they say that they are not surprised by the verdict. They say that it also gives them a certain breathing time, because from day one the Shiv Sena has maintained that they have 15 to 20 MLAs in the rebel camp that after coming back will come on their sides.
Okay.
Conjectures aside, it's not what would be the one more point, important point, Afrida, is that what would be the next step? The next step would be to reach out to the deputy speaker, and on the 17th of July is when the monsoon session begins. So what if the deputy speaker says that there won't be any floor test or any parading of MLAs till the monsoon session? Then again it will be up for grabs. Then maybe the rebel camp will say that democracy is under danger and so on and so forth. So I think it's
going to be a long drawn battle. Let's at least agree to the fact that this is stretching longer than we expected, perhaps because the new dates have now come out. Quickly listening in to what Uddhav Thackeray had to say earlier, and also some other inputs coming in before we go into the conversation.
ईडी ने समन किया है संजय राउत को भी, आप लोग क्या इसको राजनीति के हिसाब से देख रहे हैं?
नहीं, ये राजनीति नहीं, ये तो भी सर्कस बन गई है।
और ये बताइए, एक और सवाल, फ्लोर टेस्ट के लिए आप लोग तैयार हैं?
फ्लोर टेस्ट से सबसे बड़ी टेस्ट यही है, अगर जो भी बागी है, जो भाग के गए हैं, जो खुद को रेबेलियन कह रहे हैं, रेबेलियन करना होता तो यहाँ हिम्मत से करते, राजीनामा देते, रिजाइन करते और सामने चुनाव के लिए खड़े रहते। मेरी बात पूरी होगी। दूसरी फ्लोर टेस्ट यही होगी कि मेरे सामने बैठे आंखों में आंखें डाल के बोले कि हमने क्या गलत किया।
शिव सेना से निकले हुए बागी विधायक अब शायद मनसे प्रमुख राज ठाकरे से टेलीफोन के माध्यम से बात कर रहे हैं, ऐसी खबरें आ रही हैं। क्या अब ये बागी विधायक मनसे में जा मिलेंगे? ऐसा कुछ प्रायोजन बागी विधायकों के नेता ने किया है क्या? यह स्वाभाविक प्रश्न महाराष्ट्र की जनता के मन में आ रहा है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ किसी प्रकार का साठगांठ है क्या? ये भी प्रश्न जनता के मन में आ रहा है। तो जो भी बागी विधायक हैं वो इस विषय पे चुप क्यों हैं? ये प्रश्न महाराष्ट्र की जनता उनसे पूछ रही है।
Well, beyond all the political posturing, let's focus on the important legal questions, and I'm going to go across to our panelists for that. Eknath Shinde, in his writ petition, had said that the Deputy Speaker has lost his position as the MVA government itself has been reduced to a minority. That seems to be the primary logic premise that the Shinde camp is working on, that he has no authority to invoke provisions of the members of Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. And citing the rules, this is what the rebel camp is clinging to, that they are the primary group and therefore they have the prerogative. Namit Saxena, where do you stand on this issue? First of all, let's look at the possibility of a floor test before 11th of July. Can the matter be settled in assembly then before the courts come to it?
See, that's the governor's prerogative. The governor can call everybody to the floors, and there is a constitutional crisis. There's a dance of numbers now. Whosoever has the numbers, please come forward to the floor of the assembly. And, the floor test will decide whosoever has the majority. The people's mandate is, shown or, evaluated through the majority of numbers. That is the governor's prerogative. If he calls the floor test, so then it has to be proven on the floor test whosoever has the numbers. But that is a tricky situation right now, because now what the rebel claiming is that they are the original Shiv Sena.
Yes.
So they're saying that Uddhav Thackeray is now, MLA of 6, 7, 10 people only. He is not the, the leader of the party as such. So the burden they're shifting on Uddhav Thackeray, doing a Thackeray on Thackeray again, like if you go back to Fadnavis's era. So they're saying now that the burden was in him to prove that he's the leader of the party and not just the leader of 6, 7 MLAs. So this is a very tricky slope right now. But
if a floor test is indeed called, Mr. Saxena, it would again, do you think it would then be favorable to the rebel faction? Because the MVA government through its council says that if disqualification proceedings are put in abeyance, then there should not be any floor test in the assembly.
The disqualification proceedings are not in abeyance. What the Supreme Court has done is that the time to file their written response has been extended from today, from 5:30 p.m. to 12th of July, 5:30 p.m. So they have not been put in abeyance as such. There is no stay on the process.
It's a stay, yes.
It's not a stay as such. They have just extended their time to file their response. That is the breather which they have got. But again, if a floor test is called, that can go both ways, because Shiv Sena on one side is also claiming that we have the numbers. In fact, Sanjay Raut went to an extent of saying that, in case it is required, we'll prove the numbers are not only in the floor.
But isn't it also true, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the party whip also will come into this? If there is a legitimate party whip, you are supposed to vote for your party. If you don't, you get disqualified. Isn't that also a critical element in this, Mr. Saxena?
Yes, you do. That is a very important, and in fact, that's a very critical area as well. Because in case you don't follow, the whip's command, then you'll be disqualified from the party, or you'll be taken care of under the anti-defection law as well. So that again is a very tricky slope for them. So that's what I'm saying. Protest is a double-edged sword right now. It can go both ways. So, I think, all of them will have to, see a clearer picture as to what is their vision, how do they want to go about it. There are a lot of
the top court also says we cannot pass an order on the floor test, as that would create unnecessary complications. If anything illegal happens, then the court says you can always move this court. So there was this plea also for the top court to take a position on the floor test, which the Supreme Court declined. And it refused to pass any interim order on the floor test. The Supreme Court further also, of course, refused to pass any interim order on a plea by the Shiv Sena that there should not be a floor test. So this way or that, the top court declined from weighing in on it. Let me bring in Manasvi Thapar as well. Where do you see this going then? Because, it's like we've been discussing, this is getting more and more complicated to understand that who finally will get the say in deciding who has the say, first of all. Manasvi Thapar.
I think this is the most interesting legal political battle we as lawyers or political analysts would have ever seen in India. This is very interesting. See, what started off as a defection, that there are a couple of MLAs who are defecting, when they realized that if there's only 17, 20 would defect, they will not make any difference. So now the onus on these defected MLAs was, let's take up the complete control of Shiv Sena. Only then we could actually formulate a legal legitimate sarkar with BJP, obviously. And to make that happen, they need to be in Shiv Sena. They cannot have their own party. They cannot merge with any other party as of now, because they need 37 MLAs, which as of now, it is not possible for them to have. So then they went to the Supreme Court. And this is also challenging. Why? Because will Supreme Court have any jurisdiction over it? Why this matter should have gone to the High Court? Who is the real Shiv Sena? The question is, Eknath Shinde is saying they are the real Shiv Sena, with a purported letterhead of the Shiv Sena, which is not the legal letterhead of the Shiv Sena, which they claim. And Uddhav Thackeray is saying that he is the real Shiv Sena. So these are
who
two
gives the
different
legitimacy,
factions.
Manasvi Thapar? Will it be the Election Commission who will decide the legitimacy of who is the primary party, because there is a party constitution that is enrolled with the Election Commission. So this is a legal document which has got the legal sanctity. Can a breakaway faction, irrespective of how large it is, simply give itself that authority?
See, it does not look as easy. That is why the Supreme Court have not given any kind of stay to the breakaway factor section. Or on the contrary, they have just extended their period of reply to 11th July.
Okay.
And in this 11th July, there could be lots of negotiation, mediation. There could be many things. There could be the breakaways could come back, or there could be additional breakaways. So right now, this is a gift by the Supreme Court to these MLAs, this defection, this breakaway, to actually do a mediation round in their own party. And this would be a think tank between the MLAs, the breakaway ones and not broken away ones, that what is the finality where we are going to, or this may end into a president's rule, or the governor can in between call for a floor test with the kind of scenario and the media interaction we are seeing all across the country. This is a burning issue. So the governor could also call for a floor test, and that particular time this could be decided, will this Sarkar have the majority or not? So
Yes.
This is a very legitimate question as of now. Which way this is going to go? As of now, it is not decided. Who is having the numbers? Who will have the legitimate say? What they're asking for is the disqualification. As of now, while we are speaking, none of the MLAs have been disqualified. So
Yes.
the Supreme Court also can only intervene once there is a disqualification of MLAs.
So you are saying
Right
let
now,
the
it is just
disqualification question be settled first. That will perhaps, yes, that will perhaps
That is the
clarify a
first
lot of
step.
things. If at least we have the disqualification issue settled, then things can move. Do you agree with that, Namit Saxena? I also want to bring you in on the question of anti-defection law. Now, there is a law, and different sides, depending on their convenience and depending on which side you are, is making a different interpretation of the anti-defection law as well. I hear very few people talking about the merger point, that it's simply not enough to have 2/3 of the numbers. You also then need to shed your Shiv Sena credentials, get a new identity, and then can you be considered legitimate. Is that correct about the anti-defection law?
Yes, that is correct. Simply just saying that we are a different political outfit or we have the numbers does not suffice the muster of anti-defection law. They have to, either merge with BJP or some other political party, and then they say that we are no more Shiv Sena and we have taken a new identity, which is this now. But then again, that goes to that is a diametrically opposite stand, because now they are saying that we are the Shiv Sena original. So that is something which,
But how can they claim that unless they are registered, unless there must be a party position which is registered with the Election Commission? Even if that section is reduced to, say, fewer numbers, the authority cannot suddenly change, can it? I mean, after it is sanctified by the Election Commission, can the authority switch?
See, when a political party is registered either as a regional party or as a national party, they register their symbol, they register their constitution, they register the posts, the number of posts, etc. A lot of things are there. So simply, saying that we are Shiv Sena original cannot suffice the muster of, the law or the Election Commission rules as such. So that is not sufficient. They'll have to do something more than that. They'll have to not only get the numbers, they'll have to really amend a lot of things. They'll have to really show that we are the Shiv Sena original, and that there is a completely different process to it. But again, coming back to your question that whether this disqualification should happen first and then only, the floor test can go on, or then only the proceedings can go on, my answer would be no. Because again, if the disqualification happens first, the entire dance of, the numbers goes away.
Yes.
So, that is the entire claim, that if you disqualify us, then how do we show numbers? Then that is why they have challenged the process, the issuance of notices of disqualification as such, that you can't disqualify us before having a floor test. Have a floor test or have, our say in it, and then you can say that.
So it goes back to anti-defection law. They can only be disqualified based on a law. Which law is that? Will it stand the scrutiny of law when the current Uddhav Sena says that you are disqualified, so anyway you don't count anymore, and then it will be the floor test which may move in favor of the Uddhav Sena. Last question to you, Manasvi. If you can help us then, if you can give us a picture of how clear it is right now, given the law, which cannot be changed, the law is cast in stone. Given the way the law exists today, is disqualification imminent, or you think one cannot make that argument here?
See, right now it is not the right stage to say that they will be disqualified or not, because this is just a notice, and it is on the deputy speaker that he'll have to take an action on it. So what action he's going to take on that particular point, disqualification will happen. But what is more interesting right now in the country as a whole would be the anti-defection law. The anti-defection law is a great law only for those people who are in retail numbers. But those people who have 2/3 of majority in wholesale numbers, the anti-defection law does not hit them. So this is a classic case of what is happening in Shiv Sena right now. If they reach a 2/3 majority, they can merge with the political party, and anti-defection law
But will they be willing to,
them.
sir? That's a big question. They are claiming to be the original Bala Sahib's party, so they will not be able to retain the Shiv Sena identity.
Correct.
Similarly, Raj Thackeray had to name another party. He had to call it something else. Will they be willing to do that? And in that case, they will not be considered the original Shiv Sena, will they be?
In that case, in the entirety of this particular matter and the legal battle which we are heading for, they'll not claim as Shiv Senas, they'll be in BJP.
Yes.
They'll not be hit by anti-defection law,
Precisely.
but they'll be as a part of BJP. They'll not be disqualified as MLAs, they'll continue as MLAs because they're part of a larger political party.
That would be a big dilemma, at least from what I see. It will be a very big dilemma to the current crop of MLAs, whether they'll be willing to shed their original credentials, which they may be bound to do by law if they have to survive the disqualification process. But like we've been saying, this is complicated and this is not going to be settled in one conversation here. But thank you so much, Namit Saxena and Manasvi Thapar, for joining us this evening.